morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Health Week on 1480 WHBC. I'm Pam Cook, and we are live from OrthoUnited on Frank Avenue this morning, and excited to have a chance to talk to, well, all the folks that can help us with all those aches and pains. There's no doubt about that. But we're gonna start off this morning with Fred Lickey, who is the Chief Operating Officer. He's gonna join us and talk to us a little bit about how things have been going over the last year or so since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been going great. You know, we're now 2.5 years into the merger between the two groups of Omni Orthopedics and Spectrum Orthopedics, and now officially and formally OrthoUnited now for 2.5 years. So it's gone wonderful. Can't believe it's been that long.
It feels like it's gone very, very quickly, but it's become the norm now, so that's a good thing. But talk about any advancements you guys have made. What things have been happening for you?
Well, we've had a couple new fun things in the last year. You know, one new advancement, at least on the technology side, we finally went live with online scheduling as of April 1st. So it's something that I've been wanting to do, seeing other practices and even seeing it in my own family, that's what patients want. They want the ability to sit on their couch at 8 o'clock at night and schedule an appointment on their own and pick what time they want to go, what doctor they want to see, what location they want to see. The idea started with my wife and my son, who was a soccer player. You know, he got injured in a practice, came home. She was all worried. Oh, my God, he's got a game this weekend. What's wrong with him? Do we need to go to the ER right now? She was on the couch at 8:30, got online, scheduled an appointment for the next morning with someone out near us, and she was settled down. The anxiety of, oh my God, what do I need to do? And nobody likes to go to the ER, and all the cost and the time waste that happens a lot of times at the ER. So we went live on April 1st, and it's gone great. I think I looked in the first month, we had over 250 people schedule appointments online, just our first month going live on it. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a significant convenience for patients to do that.
Yeah, when you don't have to make the phone call, and you can, like you say, do it at any time, whenever it's a comfortable time for you, and you're not at work or something like that. That's awesome. Or you can do it at work if it's online.
Right. Well, you don't have to wait, with the phone call and this and that. I mean, you can go through the menu options. Just like, I don't know about you, but a lot of times I don't go to a restaurant unless I can book my my dinner reservation online, right? And see what times are available and that kind of stuff.
Open table, that's always a good thing, right?
It is, right.
All right, so let's talk about the Fairlawn office. That's a new one for you.
Yeah, that is. That's great. So that's our first foray up into the northern territories. Historically we've been down here in Canton and North Canton, and we have an office in Dover and Alliance, and this is our first trip up north. So we opened in September of 2024 an office in Fairlawn, right on Springside Drive in the Montrose area. That office has been going great. We have about 10 doctors that go there, rotate different days and times. We make sure that we have all the different body parts covered. And the idea came from, we have a few key large primary care practices and offices that use us down here in North Canton. They're like, man, we have a lot of offices up in the northern area, and we really wish you guys were up there. So kind of talking to them and looking at where we want to expand to the next market, we thought, going up north would be the way to go. So we have an office there with orthopedics, an x-ray machine, and therapy right in that office.
And I imagine, the need for orthopedic doctors and surgeons is growing more and more.
Yeah, it is.
Pickleball becomes
pickleball, right. Yeah, keep playing. We love those weekend warriors,
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So, no, that's been exciting to be in a totally new market up there, and it continues to grow month over month as I watch the trends of, our visits and things like that.
Do you expect any more expansion at any point?
We don't have any immediate plans on new locations. We'll kind of let that get settled in. And can just continue to expand the access and service, we have here. In this location. One of the expansions we do have, though, is going on in Dover. So we've been down at Dover for over 15 years, and that office is just, we've been busier and busier all the time, servicing that whole Tuscarawas County. And so we identified about a year ago that we're really outgrowing the space in the building we're at. We have, let's just call it roughly 4,500 square foot office space there on the first floor of that building, and so we're expanding to the third floor, and we're taking over the whole third floor, doubling the size of our office, just to meet the demands of the physicians that go there. They're on top of each other. So we're investing, probably over $1.5 million in that office, and put a significant investment in Tuscarawas County for the continued further growth and expansion of the Dover office. We expect the new office location to open mid-July.
And I would say that the folks down there probably that affords them the ability to not have to travel up to Canton.
That's right.
For any kind of a service like that.
And that's why we put it down there 15 years ago, and it's
Yeah.
just been very successful and continues to grow, and the needs just outpaced the size of the office that we had.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the new doctors because you have that happening in late summer as well, right?
Yeah, we do. Actually, we have 3 new physicians starting really pretty soon. 2 of them in August and 1 in September. These are all 3 new physicians just coming out of their fellowship training. 2 of them, Dan Lowe and Amber McDermott. Amber just got married, so her last name is now Anderson. Both of these physicians did their training right here at Altman, at the Altman Orthopedic Residency Program. And a lot of our physicians participate in teaching in that Altman residency program. So we got to know them well. They actually worked here at the Spectrum campus, kind of part-time in our express walk-in clinic. So we got to know them. They got to know us, and they're from the area. I think Dan Lowe was initially from the Cleveland area, and Amber McDermott, the Doylestown area. They wanted to come back, stay local, and they knew us, and we knew them, and it was an easy fit. Dr. Lowe is doing a fellowship down at Ortho San Antonio, specializing in hip and knee arthroplasty, which is joint replacements, right? Amber is at the University of Connecticut doing a sports medicine fellowship. So they'll both relocate back here, and they both start in August. The other one is Christopher Gibbs. Christopher Gibbs is a hand specialist. He's doing a hand fellowship down at Wake Forest. Chris is also from the area. He grew up in Bath, went to school at Revere. It was high competition. Hand is hard to find and hard to recruit, and the fact that we convinced him to come back and stay here. I know his mom, and so I was working him from the practice side, and I told her, hey, she really wanted them to move back here, so she worked from the personal side, and we did convince him to come. And he needs some help with his family because he and his wife have 6 kids under the age of 9.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, wow.
Talk about a go-getter.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh, that's.
So we're thrilled to have those people. Hand is a specialty that's always busy, and to have that specialty join us, and all 3 of these physicians will also be going to the Fairlawn office in addition to the offices here in Canton.
It's pretty impressive when you go to your website and you look at the list of doctors and check out each one of them and all of the different specialties, because no matter what part, like you said, body parts, you look it up and, there's that doctor or this choice. There's a lot.
Well, we try to have the right complement of physicians such that every body part is covered and that we have access. One of the things we strive to do is have quick access for patients. I mean, really, anybody should be able to get in same day or next day. When you have an orthopedic problem or an injury, you want that taken care of right away. You don't want to have to wait days or weeks to get in to see somebody. You want it taken care of right away. Along those lines, with online scheduling, another option is we have our Express Care walk-in clinics. So at the 2 main hubs in Canton and North Canton, both of them have walk-in Express Care clinics where anybody can just walk in and be seen right away. So rather than trying to go to the ER, is this a fracture or not, or is this a sprain, or geez, I just tweaked myself on the pickleball court, what's the problem? You can come in and get quick access to an orthopedic specialist immediately. Though, if it's a fracture, we can get an x-ray and put them in a cast same day. If it's something that needs further treatment, we can get them scheduled to follow up with the proper physician with the proper body part, really quickly. So really trying to do that quick access, whether it's to schedule an appointment or walk in. That's what we pride ourselves on doing, is getting people, taken care of and back on the court or back on the on the bike or back on the golf course as quickly as possible.
What are the hours for Express Care?
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays.
Yeah, I remember quite a few folks saying, they had a high school football player or a Saturday morning junior high player that got injured, and instead of taking them to the emergency room, which can be a big, long time period, they brought them there, and it was so much faster and easier for them.
It is, and that's, what we try to get the word out to everybody rather than going to have that long wait and high cost. Come and just get right in. And if you're going to an ER, generally you're not going to see an orthopedic specialist. You're going to see an ER physician or a nurse practitioner or somebody like that. Where with us, if it's some kind of sprain, strain, fracture, something along those lines, you can come in and see an orthopedic specialist right away.
All right. Well, we are so glad to get started here today. We've got a lot to talk about. Dr. A.J. Seth is going to come up next and talk to us about all the things, first of all, that he's accomplished. But he's, done sports medicine, and there's just so many things, and we'll chat with him for a little while and some other folks as well. So I appreciate you starting things off this morning.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. All right, it is our day 3 of Health Week here on 1480 WHBC. We are broadcasting live from OrthoUnited.
News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Loby's Irish Pub and Grill has been in the Irish Square in Massillon, earning your business one bite at a time. Irish favorites like the Reuben and the Sloppy Irishman, to their fresh green salads and their weekly menu features, Loby's Irish Pub and Grill has you covered with good food. Plus, they've always got you covered with good spirits on their fully covered patio, where Loby's Irish Pub and Grill has live music every weekend. Whether you're looking for a quick lunch or you're ready to get settled in, stopping in for dinner with the family, or you're ready to party with good friends, it's all good in the Irish Square in Tigertown at Loby's Irish Pub and Grill.
When it comes to your orthopedic health, the physicians at OrthoUnited realize you have a choice. That is exactly why our team of orthopedic specialists have dedicated over 35 years of orthopedic excellence to you, our patients, who live, work, and raise families in the same communities as we do. We pride ourselves on being your orthopedic partner for a lifetime of mobility. With 6 convenient locations, we offer continued introductions to the latest advances in cutting-edge care. OrthoUnited offers same-day appointments. Learn more at orthounitedohio.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147. Or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
Health Week. We are broadcasting live from OrthoUnited, and so excited to have Dr. A.J. Seth with us this morning. And you always talk to Kenny and JT or the football guys, so I'm glad that I get to have you here this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you guys coming out here to talk about OrthoUnited.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a real pleasure to have you guys here.
Okay, so tell folks a little bit about your specialties and, a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I actually grew up here, graduated from Jackson in 1990. It's our 35th year anniversary coming up. Long time. I ended up doing my undergrad in medical school in Wisconsin. I had a relative of mine who was in a medical program out there, so I went out with him. And then I did my residency at The Ohio State University, and then I did an extra year in hand, elbow, shoulder fellowship in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And then I remember telling my mom, there's no way I'll ever come back to Canton, Ohio. I'm going to go to the big city, and here I am 22 years later in Canton, Ohio. And it's been great. It's been a great career so far, and I was tabulating. I think I've done now 22,000 surgeries in my career.
Wow.
Yeah, time goes quick.
It does.
I just feel like it was yesterday I started. And so I've really enjoyed being here and being in the practice with Spectrum and now OrthoUnited, and, a lot of new things coming. And we were just talking, it's been 10 years since I did the...
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Yeah. Explain to folks what that was, first of all.
Yeah, so in 2015, a patient, Melissa Loomis, who actually lives in town, was bit by a raccoon. And a lot of people may know the story, but for those that don't, she ended up getting a real bad infection and was pretty much on her deathbed. And I did 13 surgeries to try to save her arm. And I had told her that, I was like, I promise you're never going to lose an arm. That just... I haven't had to amputate an arm before. Well, we ended up having to amputate her arm because it was that or she was going to die. And ended up amputating her arm. Most phenomenal lady one of the most phenomenal patients I've had. And she ends up doing great. And I remember promising her that I would make her the most advanced amputee the world's ever had. And I remember saying that, and I think the funny thing about that was I had never done any amputation before. In residency, we went to a conference on prosthetics and orthotics and how you use them. Well, there was about 8 orthopedic guys, and it was in Dallas, Texas. There were a lot of nice bars and everything around. So maybe I should have spent more time in the lecture hall, but one thing led to another, and I ended up being the first surgeon in the world to get someone to feel and move a prosthetic hand. And so she actually can move a prosthetic hand without looking at it. There's a video of her holding a styrofoam cup behind her back, and she closes her hand but doesn't crush the cup. And there's actually an HBO special on us that's out there, and did phenomenal. Did unbelievably phenomenal. She's doing great today. You had just asked 10 years.
I said 10
December.
years, yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And we ended up writing a book, came out 1819, that's how I remember it. And it's kind of a faith-based story, and the story centers around how, I'm just a small-town doc, how I ended up taking the risk and doing something no one's done in the world, and her being this brave patient who's like, hey, I'll let you do this surgery on me, and how it worked. And, the book wasn't done to prove there's a God. That wasn't my purpose of it. My purpose of it was to say that some things happen in life, especially in medicine, that you'll never be able to explain, and it's okay. I think it's okay for a doctor to tell you that, we give you statistics, and we say, okay, so-and-so has a 10% chance to live. Well, it's just a statistic. And a lot of people will say they gave my friend 10% and they're still here. And so a lot of things happen, and it's okay to accept those miracles, and a doctor to say, hey, listen, you beat the odds. I have no idea how. And that's what the book is about, because there's probably about 12 things that happened that really can't be explained. And no one who's read the book has ever said, oh, those are just coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
And people, I think, have liked it. The best compliment, one of the best compliments I got was a gentleman. He's like, I have never read a book since first grade, ever. He said, I read your book cover to cover in 2 days. And so people like it, I think. And it's so that if you have a loved one and the doctors give you odds, you don't know. You don't know who's going to get that miracle and beats the odds.
Yeah.
And so it's just to tell people not to ever give up hope when they have a condition that there's impending doom. God can step in and provide that miracle, and we don't know who gets the miracle, who doesn't, but it's about, in her case, her brain, her ability to just be positive, I think really helped out. I just did something one day. She got to work,
How did you decide that she was the right patient to do this with?
So I went to a conference in Seattle, and it's kind of the story in the book. I don't want to spoil it, but it was one of those things where I saw a procedure was done to move a prosthetic arm, and I walked up to the guy who was giving me the lecture. I said, hey, how many people has had this surgery? He's like, oh, about 200. And I was disappointed because I said, I wanted to do something no one's done for this lady, because I promised she wouldn't lose her arm, and I didn't honor that. So he said, hey, you want to try something no one's ever done? I'm like, yeah. He goes, try to get her to feel a prosthetic hand. So you're trying to get her to feel a piece of metal. And he ended up telling me that somebody in Canada had tried to come up with a way to do it. I just ended up talking to him on the phone and tried it, and lo and behold, it worked phenomenally. And wow. She regained everything that you have. She can feel hot, cold. You put an ice cube where her so-called fingers are, that I rewired her nerves. You put an ice cube, she'll tell you her thumb is cold. You put pressure on it. She regained everything.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's an amazing person.
Wow.
I was just lucky enough to get it to work and have the right patient.
All right, we're going to take our break for the news, our first break here with you. And when we come back, we'll talk more about some of the things that you've done, but also, you know, what you do in your everyday practice besides the bionic stuff.
Yeah.
All right, you are listening to Health Week. We are broadcasting live from OrthoUnited on Frank Avenue, and this is News Talk 1480 WHBC.
I'm going to grab something to drink.
Stop in all week at Ben Wollenberg's Chocolates and Nuts, where cashews are just $9.95 a pound. Ben Wollenberg's, 25th Street in Fulton, Northwest in Canton.
Spring into freshness with Burndale Water Experts. For clean, soft water you can trust. Call 330-455-9466 or visit burndalewater.com. Pure water, pure peace of mind.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief. The best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice, because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely, and you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
WHBC AM 10, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
From the News Talk 1480 WHBC newsroom in Southwest Ohio, the Clark County Sheriff is investigating after a young boy allegedly poured gasoline on another boy and set him on fire. It happened in Tremont City around 8:30 Saturday night. That boy is now in custody. The victim is expected to survive and is recovering in the hospital. According to officials, a group of kids were lighting fires and burning things just before the incident. Homelessness in America has been steadily increasing with an 18% rise in the homeless population in 2024. Concerns are growing about the aging homeless population. According to a 2019 report, more than 140,000 Americans aged 55 or older are homeless, and that number is expected to triple by 2030. President Trump will sign an order giving TikTok's Chinese owner 90 more days to sell the video app. It is the third extension since talks first stalled in the spring. Trump says the extra time should let ByteDance and a U.S. buyer finish a deal that protects Americans' data. Without the sale, a law upheld by the Supreme Court could force TikTok to shut down in the U.S. The White House hopes that China's leaders will now approve the plan after earlier balking when new U.S. tariffs appeared. Food Network colleagues and Chef Ann Burrell fans are mourning her death today. She passed away in her Brooklyn apartment yesterday. She was just 55. Burrell is known for her spiky platinum hair and shows she hosted like Worst Cooks in America. No word yet on a cause of death. Guardians beat the Dodgers 3-2 last night, and they'll play again tonight right here on 1480 WHBC. And we have a new Stanley Cup champion, not new. It is the same team as last year. Florida Panthers beat Edmonton Oilers to take home the cup. I'm Pam Cook.
Your severe weather station, News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast this afternoon. Variable clouds with a thunderstorm in parts of the area. Humid high of 83. Tonight, overcast and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm bringing flooding, downpours, and damaging wind gusts. Low of 66. Tomorrow, a blend of sun and clouds, windy and not as warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High of 74. Friday, partly sunny, pleasant, and warmer. High of 84. Saturday, hot with sun and clouds, high of 91. With the AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call
Gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cash back app out there. It's free to download and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code KEY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code KEY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code KEY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Health Week has been so wonderful, and we're continuing the trend today with OrthoUnited and Dr. AJ Seth with us this morning. We've been talking about some incredible things happening through medicine and that he has been a part of. And honestly, we're going to share another story because this is obviously this is a local story as well about a patient of yours from Alliance, correct?
Correct.
Share.
All right. So somehow or another, I get involved in these crazy cases. Her name is Marie Trainer. She's out of Alliance. Very similar to Melissa, just an amazing, incredible person. Her story is that she, unfortunately, came back from the Dominican Republic. So they're on vacation, comes back, and starts to just feel like she's getting the flu, and ends up going to the emergency room at Alliance and then transferred to Altman. And they end up intubating her because she completely crashed, and nobody has any clue why. And the problem was that her toes and her hands were starting to go black. She was losing circulation, and she was getting very systemically ill. So the recommendation was for amputation of both arms and legs.
Oh, my gosh.
And you can imagine, you come back from vacation, she's intubated, so she has no clue what's going on.
Right.
Well, they end up transferring her to the Cleveland Clinic. They life-flighted her there. getting worse. Her hands and her legs were just turning black. The Cleveland Clinic surgeons agreed. The only way was to amputate both arms and legs. And her husband was her advocate. And not only is Marie incredible, her husband's phenomenal. I mean, he's been by her side. Like, it's unbelievable to see the love that they have. And he was like, somebody has to do something because you can't amputate both arms and legs on someone. They're not, I mean, what kind of quality of life is it? So I end up knowing her stepdaughter, and she called me, and I'm like, okay, I'll see what I could do, but I have no guarantees. So they life-flighted her back from Cleveland Clinic back to Altman, and I ended up taking her surgery. And the time I did surgery, her legs up to the knees were pretty much getting black. Her hands were her arms, and it went all the way up to her shoulder. So I did a surgery and found out that she had a clot that started at her elbow, went down her radial artery, down the artery, into every artery in the finger and every artery coming back to the elbow, going up the shoulder. And that's why she had no blood flow at all going there.
Wow.
So I ended up cutting the artery. I would bring the clots out, and then I would suture the artery together under like a microscope. And I did it, I think I was telling you, 7 hours. And after I did it, she actually made a big recovery turn. So I was able to save her arms, basically. She unfortunately lost her hands, but we were able to save her arms, and she was able to recover. It turns out that she had this bacteria that 6 people in the world, in the history of the world, have had. In the United States, there was 2, her and somebody in Wisconsin. So out of the 6, 3 people died, 3 people lived. They had their arms and legs amputated. So she got her arms saved there. And it was from her dog that kind of licked her wound.
Oh, my God.
And then everybody freaks out because their dogs
Their
lick them all
dog
the time.
licks their face, yeah.
And I say there have been 2 billion dogs, all over the world that do this. She's one of 6 in the history of the world. So it's so minimal. It just happens to be her. And it's kind of weird how she happens to be just like my other patient and ends up in my care. I did the same thing I did with her, just take a risk, and, it worked out, and she ended up living, and she is a phenomenal person. She just planted her own garden. She's now walking. Saving her arms is a big thing, I guess, because she can use a walker. Mm-hmm. We still communicate all the time. She texts me all the time. She drives me crazy, I say, because she's always doing things that I'm like, will you not do that? Like, she's showing me the garden. I'm like, how did you do that? I got down on the, I'm like, do you have to do that?
Yes.
But she's incredible. Her and Melissa are the 2 most incredible people. And I think that, as doctors, we really only do something. I did something for 7 hours. That was it. It takes the person to make these things work, I think, and it's their mindset again. And so she's doing great. She's just an inspiration, just to anybody. Mm-hmm. So those 2 are just incredible people.
And your job isn't like that every day, though.
No, no. I do hand, elbow, shoulder. And people come in. It's funny you say that. They're always like, "Well, I just have this finger problem. I know you do bigger stuff." I'm like, "No. I just happen to be involved in 2 cases. I like being in a private practice here. I like doing, just everyday stuff. The carpal tunnels, your trigger fingers, your arthritis, shoulder stuff. I like it. I really enjoy it. I like seeing people in the community, and that's one of the nice things about OrthoUnited is you're taking patients care of in the community, and they don't have to go up to Cleveland. There's really no difference between, my opinion, between care there, care here, care anywhere. It's the person, it's the doctor, and you need to find the person who you really fit with, and it's a relationship you develop. And I wish we could say that every outcome comes out phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if you hear that from a surgeon, that means he's probably done 2 cases in his life. It doesn't happen. But just knowing that you got to be there for your patient, and it's what I think OrthoUnited's biggest thing is. We see people in the community, and that's why I think we kind of joined, is just to keep people in this community with a large practice, because there's nothing we don't have. There's nothing the Cleveland Clinic has we can't really offer here. And our surgery center where I'm at today, we do total joints. I mean, my saying's always been, people get their total joint in the morning and they're having dinner with their family at night. That was like unthinkable years ago.
Yeah.
And that's been a big plus. So, yeah, I mean, I absolutely do all the regular stuff. I'm still a regular person with that.
When do you think, if somebody's listening right now and they're thinking of the regular stuff, the fingers, the joints, the hands, shoulder pain, when is it time to come see you?
Yeah, I always tell people that you'll know when that time, when it's really bothering. I will say, if it wasn't for wives, significant others, I would have half my practice. Because the wives are phenomenal and significant others, because they make their husband or person go in, because they're tired of hearing them complain. So when I see them with the wife, I'm like, so you're here because she was tired of hearing you complain every day. And so, but I do tell people, like even carpal tunnel and stuff, a carpal tunnel takes me about 5 minutes to do. And people have this for years and years. And what they don't realize sometimes is the longer you put it off, the harder your recovery is, and the less chance of getting a full recovery. So, am I saying that you get some numbness, tingling, you got to run to the doctor? No. But it's not something you should just let go on and on. Or, we have the ability nowadays to really, our goal as orthopedic surgeons is not to do stuff to alter your life. You can't go do this or that. Our goal is to get you back to the same lifestyle you have. And Total Joints does that. All these things are done so that, I tell people, it used to be if you were 80 years old, they're like, oh, you're having surgery. I tell patients, you live another 20 years. Why should you suffer for 20 years when it's something we can really take care of?
Yeah.
So I don't really go, and that's one of the big things that patients need to know. We don't go by age. We go by, how functional are you? Yes. Because there's so many people who are in their late 80s that you wouldn't even know that they're that. And so you treat people on not their age, but their functionality.
Yeah. Dr. Richterman operated on my mom's hands.
Yeah.
She just turned 90. It changes her life.
It does.
She needed her hands for her walker,
That's the biggest thing. And there's no reason not to do it when it's something that doesn't take very long.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our break, and when we come back, we'll finish up with Dr. A.J. Seth. We are at OrthoUnited on this Wednesday morning of Health Week on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Hello, it's Craig Sanders from Progressive Chevrolet in Massillon. Listen to this Progressive Power Buy.
This event is actually bigger than our usual Power Buys. Come in now and save thousands during our service loaner sale. It's like buying a new Chevy, but at a used car price. Our customers use these vehicles as loaners. When they get a few hundred miles on them, we sell them at a big discount. These are like new vehicles, and you get all the new car benefits, but at a drastically reduced price. Progressive has a great selection of these service loaners to choose from. This Progressive Power Buy is perfect for anybody who really wants a new car, truck, or SUV, but really only wants a used car price. Again, these are like new Chevy vehicles from our service loaner fleet. You get all the new car benefits, but at a much lower price. But hurry, with these massive discounts, they will sell fast. So don't miss your chance. Together, let's drive.
Shop Progressive Chevrolet in Massillon.
Call 833-853-3094 for operative sales. Stock number C25-188. MSRP $26,190. Offer ends upon sale of eligible vehicles.
You're great at protecting your personal information. You might even use things like two-factor authentication and strong passwords. But as much as you try to control how your info's protected, there are other places that also have it, and they may not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed, or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name Clay as the promo code at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
In sports, it's the dream team. And if your car is out of warranty, there's a team for that as well. You, the driver, your mechanic, and Endurance to pay for the repair bills. I'm Danica Patrick. In the past 5 years, auto repair costs have gone up over 36%. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all. With an Endurance auto protection plan, no matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical, electrical system, transmission, AC, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done by the certified mechanic of your choice. Plans cover 24/7 towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, and lockout services. Act now and get the benefits of our Elite Plan, a $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again. So call now for your free quote.
Call 800-291-0342. 800-291-0342. 800-291-0342.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147 or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
All right, we are back at OrthoUnited, and I'll tell you, we've been hearing the stories, and Dr. A.J. Seth has been sharing some wonderful things with us, but we're not done yet. We're not done, because I want to know, I mean, we talked about the things you've been doing. Now, what's on the agenda now for you?
So I still am practicing every day, but I do research in my off time.
In your spare time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I work on the SWAT team, so I'm their physician on the SWAT team. And my job is to make sure nobody ever dies on the SWAT team. So I go out with them. But my mom didn't know that, so she just...
Now she does.
Yeah, I take that back. So, but I do research, and after Melissa's research. It was tough to get full funding for prosthetics. I started focusing on patients with paralysis, paralyzed arms, stroke victims, spinal cord injury, and ALS. ALS has been one of my main focuses. I just happened to one night come up with this idea of building a little exoskeleton. It's something that would go on their arm on these patients with paralysis. And just came up with this idea, and it actually worked on getting them to regain functionality of their arm. So I just got the patent on my device 4 months ago. I was saying it took me 5 years. So I've patented the technology. It's actually the only brace in the world that can move a fully paralyzed arm. And you do it without surgery. It's just an easy way. So patients with ALS, spinal cord, if you can smile, I can get you to move your arm now. And we base it right now on patients in wheelchairs. So for ALS, which is just a tremendously horrible disease, up until you lose all your muscles, we could still get you to eat, drink, hold somebody's hand. So we're just in the process of a company that's going FDA registering this next month. We're going to start doing trials. We have to get it through Medicare because Medicare pays for a certain type of brace like that. And then we're going to do some trials with it and then get some feedback and hoping by 2026 to start getting it out in the country.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's just, you get lucky every once in a while. You think of some idea and it actually worked. And I think it took about 5 years because nobody thought that the Mayo Clinic, that's, if it was at the Mayo Clinic and stuff, it would have went crazy. But nobody thought that what I was saying when I told people I could move a fully paralyzed arm, that it would happen. And, I just showed you guys the video.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Absolutely is. Now, when we were off the air also, we asked you, how's AI fitting into all of this?
So I use AI on this brace. AI is going to be a huge thing, I think, in medicine. My daughter, who's going to Ohio State, just told me last night that they're actually taking classes everybody does on AI. Wow. But this brace does AI learning, and it starts to interpret how I came up with the person to use other muscles to activate the arm. We use AI algorithms that we created that will interpret your brain signals into turning them into moving that arm. It's just an idea we came up with, and it worked. But AI is going to be a big thing in the future. Does it have its plus and minuses? Absolutely. That could be a whole segment on itself, because as good as AI is, at what point do we become too dependent on, and at what point, radiology, they want to do it where they're picking up things that we can't see maybe, but at what point do you need that human ability to decipher things? And that's going to be a really big thing in medicine.
Man. Well, you have a couple of really big things in medicine. So.
Well, thank you.
Well, and I'm like I said earlier, I'm glad that I had a chance to talk with
great.
You, because Kenny and JT always seem to corner the market when it comes to you. But I appreciate you spending some time with us today and sharing the stories.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. And, it's always great to have you here. And just like you guys being local, with WHBC, you want to keep that local flavor going. We don't want to have to listen to the Cleveland stations. And Friday night, I helped take care of Masson, but I still listen to all the football stuff, everybody for years. I remember from Jim Johnson.
Yes.
Years ago, had the best play-by-play voice in the history ever.
You're
seriously.
Right. You're right.
So OrthoUnited is just like you guys. We want to keep everything in Canton and local, and for you guys, withstanding and going through all those changes, everybody wants you to become national. It's phenomenal.
All right. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. You guys take care. Thanks so much.
You too. Thank you so much. And again, Dr. A.J. Seth, some wonderful stories that we've had a chance to talk with him about. We'll continue our Health Week visit to OrthoUnited with Dr. Zach Stender coming up after the news here at 11. It is News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Spring welcomes many outdoor activities. Orthopedic mobility is the key to staying active. If you're finding that an orthopedic condition is holding you back from enjoying the activities that you love, trust the teams at OrthoUnited to guide you along your journey to orthopedic health. With over 35 years of experience, over 32 orthopedic specialists, 6 locations, and 2 express care walk-in clinics, which includes evening and weekend hours. OrthoUnited, your local partner for orthopedic excellence, right here at home. Learn more at OrthoUnitedOhio.com.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147. Or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at EasterSeals.com.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. TrustandWill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
WHBC AM Canton, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
This is WHBC News. Good morning. I'm Pam Cook. We are going to see some showers and thunderstorms maybe later today, but we'll have clouds and a high of 84 today. Showers are likely overnight, very humid, a low of 68. And then for tomorrow, some scattered thunderstorms and a high around 72. A Lake Township doctor of podiatry who had her license to practice medicine suspended in February has made a Stark County Common Pleas Court appearance. 40-year-old Priyanka Mood, who had an office on Cleveland Avenue Northwest in the township, entered a guilty plea to a felony aggravated drug possession charge and 2 other felonies. She was sentenced to 3 years probation. The state medical board says she created fictitious patient names in order to obtain oxycodone. Her medical license was active with probationary status at last check. A session of the Morrow County Grand Jury north of Columbus has indicted the alleged killer of County Sheriff's Deputy Daniel Shearer on an aggravated murder charge. Brian Wilson was also indicted on death penalty specifications, making him eligible for the death sentence if he's found guilty. It inspired County Prosecutor Brian Wicks to quote Scripture.
Proverbs 21:15 says that when justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous and fear to evildoers.
Last month, Deputy Shearer was approaching the front porch where Wilson was sitting, responding to a call on a domestic situation. That's when Wilson opened fire. Something different 5 years after the venue celebrated the 100th anniversary of the NFL, buying a ticket to attend an event at Centennial Plaza in downtown Canton. With Civic Center operator ASM Global in charge of the plaza since the first of the month, they're bringing rising island and country music performer Nico Moon to town on September 19th for a 2,000-ticket show. Temporary perimeter will be built around the venue. Civic Center GM Blake Schilling is now overseeing the entertainment options downtown as well.
It's not going to be that every event at Centennial Plaza is going to be ticket. A bit of a higher caliber act.
Nico Moon just performed at Country Fest in Canal Fulton last week. Eerie coincidences tied to the deadly Wheeling, West Virginia flood on Saturday. It happened 25 years to the day of the Shadyside, Ohio flood on June 14th of 1990. 26 people died in the Belmont County town, also on the Ohio River. Like in Wheeling, 4 inches of rain fell in a confined, rugged area, and both of the catastrophes occurred at night. 7 are confirmed dead in the Wheeling area. For News Talk 1480 WHBC, I'm Pam Cook.
Now, your local weather forecast. Stick with us. News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast this afternoon. Variable clouds with a thunderstorm in parts of the area. Humid, high of 83. Tonight, overcast and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. Storms can bring flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. Low of 66. Tomorrow, a blend of sun and clouds. Windy and not as warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High of 74. Friday, partly sunny, pleasant and warmer. High of 84. Saturday, hot with sun and clouds. High of 91 with the AccuWeather forecast. I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
The views expressed during the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of WHBC or Alpha Media Company.
It's Health Week 2025 on 1480 WHBC. Brought to you by Liberty Health Share, the Stark County Health Department, OrthoUnited, Canton Regency, and CareSource. Let's join the host of Health Week, Pam Cook.
And welcome back to Health Week on News Talk 1480 WHBC, Hour 2 here at OrthoUnited. We've had some great talk with the Chief Operating Officer, Fred Lickey, was with us, and also Dr. A.J. Seth sharing some very interesting stories with us. And now we're going to turn to a doctor who is an expert in sports medicine. He's done a lot of different things, but we'll take it down to the regular level too, besides professional sports. But Dr. Zach Stender is with us this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me.
So let's give folks a little bit of about your background. You know, we talk about the professional teams that you've been with and different things that you've done. Just fill us in on that.
So I actually grew up in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and I trained in Chicago. I did some residency in Connecticut. I did a sports medicine fellowship in Detroit, where I worked with the professional teams. And I actually practiced in Chicago for 5 years. But I just wasn't fulfilled in that practice. And when you're working somewhere where you're not, checking all the boxes, you start thinking about what it is you want exactly in a practice. And my wife, luckily, she was very supportive, and we started identifying what are the exact things that you would like to have in your practice, where you go to work every day. And, what those things are weren't so important. But the important thing is when we identified it, it was here in Canton, Ohio. And luckily enough, they had a job opening, and that's how I ended up here.
And what kind of things were you looking for that you found in ortho?
Well, I think the most important things is opportunity, a need, and then really an ability to have my sports medicine aspect of my practice flourish. And here, they had a need. 2 sports surgeons had recently moved on to other places. And so there was certainly a demand. And then there was a lot of high schools here that needed taken care of. And so right away I was able to just start up with a sports medicine practice.
And so as far as high schools go, you help out with some high schools, right?
So yeah, I am with Massillon. I've been with them the last 6 years with Dr. Stefanko and Dr. Seth. And then I also started working with Carrollton about 2 years ago. And I consult with Jackson High School.
So when you look at young athletes today, is it getting worse for them, harder for them, because people are bigger, faster, stronger kind of thing? Or are you still treating the same kinds of things you treated before?
No, I think it's definitely changing. That's a great question. Because, when I grew up, I played one sport every season. And there was, just cross-training built into it.
Yeah.
And now from a much earlier age, people are specializing. And they're doing one sport with the same repetitive things again and again. And yes, people are bigger, faster, stronger, but the fact that they're not cross-training their bodies all the time the way that you just naturally would playing multiple different sports that require different skill sets, we are seeing a lot more overuse injuries, at earlier ages.
So what's a tip for parents, if they have a kid going into middle school or even high school. They're looking at sports. What's the best way to handle all of that?
So it's tricky, and another great question, because the coaches and the teams are really looking for people who have been, specializing. And because the competition is so strong that, there's no one great thing, but I think that what you can do is try to encourage the involvement in multiple sports, and then where available, always make sure you're maintaining like a fitness program on the side of just the actual playing the sport and practicing the sport. Okay. I think that's really important.
What injuries do you see? You said you were talking about the repetitive kinds of injuries. What do you see most in high school athletes, younger people?
So one of them, in baseball is the obvious one because of the throwing. Mm-hmm. And you used to just be throwing for that season and maybe a little bit before the season, or you'd play, your season and then summer ball. But now it's all year round. So I think it's really important for especially when throwing, not just for the pitchers. There's a lot of awareness that, in how many pitches per week or per day or per month you should be throwing as a pitcher. But, the outfielders, the catcher especially, gets overlooked. And that's still a lot of repetitive throwing. People forget about the catcher because they're not on a pitch count, but they're throwing it back to the pitcher every single time that pitcher pitches, and they may be working with multiple pitchers a day. So I think that those kind of overuse and throwing injuries are what I see a lot. And that's why it's really important to maintain a year-round stretching, throwing, strengthening, conditioning program.
When I think of a catcher, I think of their knees. That's the first thing that I think about,
I know, and those certainly become issues sometimes.
Yeah.
But I would say the thing that gets overlooked the most is the throwing arm of the catcher.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and when you did your fellowship, Detroit Red Wings, the Pistons, the Tigers, professional athletes that you dealt with, but what was that like?
So it was very different across the sports.
Okay.
It was a fantastic opportunity. I was really lucky to have that situation. I really got lucky with the fellowship, and then my mentor, who just happened to be taking care of all three of those teams at the same time. It's different taking care of a professional athlete. You may be just one opinion of three opinions that they're going to get before their lawyer eventually decides, if and when they're going to have surgery. You're a little bit removed. You're interacting with the trainers a lot more. Whereas in high school, I like it a lot better. It may not be as glamorous, but, you're right on the sidelines of every single game. Everyone is looking directly to you for their treatment options, and you can go right to the parents. There's not, legal representation as the intermediary. It's just, it's really nice.
And probably they're more accepting, I would imagine, right? From
Yes.
a professional athlete who's going, oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Much more accepting and appreciative and not expecting. Whereas in, you're talking about the highest of the most, the best that's out there, and they've had the best treatment all along. Mm-hmm. And right in high school, you're getting in right at the beginning. It's just so great.
Yeah. And that's awesome because you're in the perfect community for that, when it comes to high school football, and sports is king here in Starr County. So
I did not realize. There was nothing to prepare me for how serious football was here. I had no idea.
Well, we have done high school football on the radio for 81 years. So that'll tell you something right there, right?
That's impressive.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. So moving to the adults, what are you seeing these days from adults when it comes to any kind of sports injuries?
I think that probably hasn't changed because that's just the typical weekend warrior. It's people who are working their job, 5 days a week, and then going out on the weekends and, doing something that maybe they do just on the weekends. Maybe they're trying something they haven't done in 20 years. And there's just a lot of injuries that, that can occur from that. Achilles tendons are very common, and somebody who may be going out to play pickleball for the first time after they haven't, done any kind of explosive, sporting activity in 10 years. Yeah. So I see a lot of that. You just see wear and tear things. As people get older, they start to develop some arthritis. You see some of that. Your general sprains and strains, all kinds of things. But I would say that, the adult world remains very similar, change the sport to pickleball versus racquetball or whatever it is.
You still see elbows, that like tennis elbow is what they always called it, right? Isn't that?
I see a ton of tennis elbow. It's never from tennis. No. It's never. It's always.
Isn't there a golfer's elbow too?
There's a golfer's elbow too. It's sometimes from golf. But what I always see it from is it's always after the first snow of the year when people go shovel their driveway for the first time.
Yes.
Or in the fall when they, rake their leaves. Every time people fly in.
I can feel
and I know what it is, right?
Yeah.
You see elbow pain. It's, mid-October, November, this is leaf raking.
And then you're talking about strains, muscle strains and things like that. I mean, tendons. Tell us the difference between all of that and maybe when people should decide to come and see you.
That's a great question. So when to come in and be seen. So say you're raking your yard or you shoveled your snow. Very different from you fell off a ladder.
Right.
You fell off a ladder. You have a lot of pain. Maybe your arm looks funny. You have bruising. That should be seen right away. And we have our urgent care that's open, 6 days a week. I think it's open till 9:30 during the weekdays, and it's open till 2 p.m. on Saturdays. So that's a great place if you can't get in just to come in and be seen. Yeah. Strains and sprains, those kinds of things, maybe, again, you shoveled or you raked or, maybe your elbow's hurting in tennis. It's okay to ice it, take some anti-inflammatories, rest it a little bit, and just see how it is going. And if that's not getting better, then it's time to maybe make an appointment and be seen.
And how long does it normally take for things like that to heal? Tendons or, something in your elbow?
So like everything, it has grades. There's levels 1, 2, 3 are the most common. And so typically like an overuse injury is a simple strain. And it can take as little as 2 weeks to get better. And more advanced sprain strains can take 3 months to get better. It's just all a little bit different.
Wow. See, I'm feeling where I used to have one. It's not hurting now, but you never can tell when it's going to crop up.
Exactly. Just don't rake the leaves.
Don't rake the leaves. Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't do that. All right, we are going to take our break, and we'll come back with Dr. Zach Stender. We are talking all kinds of interesting injuries and how to prevent them. ACL injuries, we want to talk about that too, and prevention, and also some other things we'll get to as well. It is Health Week on 1480 WHBC.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
I fixed the car.
You fixed the car?
Okay, you got me, but I could have. I went to the place Dad recommended. They've been in business for years and had a direct relationship with my insurance company. I've never trusted any auto body shop until now.
Stancato Auto Service has been serving the area for over 60 years. The name you can trust is Stancato, located just 2 miles from downtown Massillon.
Who do you call? Stancato's!
StanCatoAutobody.com.
Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out By store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out By store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
A fall on the court, an over-rotation, or a twist in the wrong direction. For fractures, sprains, or strains, for back, neck, or joint pain, OrthoUnited Express Care is here for you when the unexpected happens. With 2 convenient Express Care locations, our state-of-the-art orthopedic dedicated walk-in clinic offers immediate care when you need it, with daytime, evening, and weekend hours. Don't spend hours at the emergency room. OrthoUnited Express Care is here with advanced care close to home. Learn more at OrthoUnitedOhio.com.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. TrustandWill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Every success you've had began with a great opportunity. Now there's another one. Last aid year, University of Maryland Global Campus awarded over $21 million in scholarships to qualified students, including community college students, service members, veterans, and working adults. Now is the time to move your career forward with an online and accredited skills-based education. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Here's Comedians and Sketchers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-Ins.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as slip-ins? I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers Slip-ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, Skechers.com or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
OrthoUnited, and we are talking with Dr. Zach Stender, who is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. Sports medicine is his thing. And we've been talking about professional athletes, high school athletes, the weekend warrior, all of those things. But let's talk knees, because I think when any of us watch any kind of sports, college, high school, and whenever there's injuries, a lot of times it's ACL, MCL, a meniscus, all of those different things. Talk a little bit about that. How prevalent is that injury?
So, very prevalent.
Yeah.
And increasingly so. And you happen to hit upon a topic that's a big passion of mine.
Okay.
So thank you for asking about that.
No problem.
So ACL injuries are on the rise, and people don't know that if you train the proper way, you can reduce these injuries by up to 70%. 50% for sure. Some studies show up to 70%. And the most common ACL injury is a non-contact injury where you're running, cutting, pivoting, or jumping and landing on one foot, and the forces that go through your knee result in an ACL tear. And certain people are at a much higher risk than other people for an ACL injury. And you can actually train your body with the proper techniques, training, practice, rehearsal to prevent having your knee go into these compromised positions when you're performing these activities. And it's really an incredible thing. And it's not a new thing, but it's just not like publicized enough, and people don't know enough about it. And so I've been partnering with somebody, and we've created a camp basically to work and assess, athletes. And if you're in the high risk category, then you're a candidate to do the camp. And it's called Jump Smart, and our website is jumpsmartusa.com. And it's really just a fabulous tool that not enough people know about. So hopefully, you're not going to prevent every ACL injury, but you can prevent a significant percentage of them. The people who are at the most risk, so the number of ACLs out there, if you just take men and women in sports, the men have a higher number of ACL injuries. But then if you take a percentage of the men and the percentage of the women are almost, 3 or 4 to 1. So there's certain biomechanics that are leading to these ACL injuries, and they're correctable. You're never going to be able to correct the slide tackle or the collision injury. That's not preventable. But these non-contact ACLs that occur because of poor biomechanics can be trained properly and reduced.
And we as fans sit there and watch our favorite team, and a rash of those occur, and we think, does that go back to their training? Is that something the team's not doing right in, protecting all the players or that kind of thing? So part of that is true, right?
Yeah, I don't think that the teams are doing anything wrong. I think that it's just a very hard concept. Like anything, it's like preventative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how many people just end up in the emergency room once something bad has happened, instead of just getting regular checkups along the way and making sure you're doing all the right things in terms of eating well, having a healthy diet, maintaining regular exercise, making sure that if you have high blood pressure, you're on the proper medicine. Same thing with cholesterol. Same thing with just routine screening, like your colonoscopy that you should be getting at 45 years old. All these things. The ACL is not different in that, a lot of people put it off. They think, I'm not going to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a simple assessment, and it takes probably 30 minutes. And you can find out if you're at high risk for an ACL injury.
And what puts you at high risk? What would those factors be?
Well, there's a couple different factors, but quad strength is one of them. I don't want to get too technical, but the angle your knee is at as you are jumping and landing, that's something that's correctable. And what's really, really cool is that it's one thing to just show somebody, okay, so don't have your knee in this position when you're jumping and landing. And they can do it when they're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you add in throwing a ball and distraction and actually playing the sport, they go right back to the old way that they were doing it. So the training and the skill of it is getting them to recreate new biomechanical habits.
I'm surprised that more professional athletes don't do the training. Of course, I guess I don't really know how many actually
do
it.
They're doing it.
Yeah, that's.
And actually, somebody mentioned it before as we were, looking to recruit people to get into this camp. Is the athletes who have, are graduating high school and have committed to a college before they go to whichever college, maybe one of the local colleges here, talking with the coaches and saying, hey, we can get your athletes screened and make sure they're doing a proper program before they come and, fully commit to your program.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The average person, what are the preventative things they can do besides changing? Because it's on a daily basis, you're not jumping, running, more than likely. But is there anything like the average person can do to help avoid that kind of injury?
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some resources, but it's a tough one to be self-reflective on. It's kind of like the golf swing.
Mhm.
Like, you think that your swing looks a certain way, but then when you get yourself on video, it's not exactly what you thought you were doing.
Yeah.
So I would say that at least for the initial assessment, it should be done by a professional, and there should be some check-in to make sure that you're progressing, because not everyone can do a camp, or not everyone can have access to somebody who's going to do this analysis. But I think that at least an evaluation and maybe a check-in to make sure that you're progressing with a home exercise program is a good step.
And people who are playing pickleball or who are golfing or even tennis or anything like that, preparation before they go to play, should they be doing something beforehand?
So a great question. People ask about stretching and warming up.
Yeah.
So before you're about to play sports, you should do a dynamic stretching routine, which is more movement kind of stretches, more active stretches, more active activation of the muscle groups, and warm up first. Don't just, hop out of the car and start playing, your pickleball match.
Mm-hmm.
Dynamic stretching, drinking lots of water, having adequate hydration is really important. And then after you play, then it's when you do the static stretching, which is more the traditional, stretch and hold.
Okay.
Adequate sleep is important. But I would say, 3 takeaway things: adequate sleep, adequate hydration, dynamic stretching before you play.
All right. There you go. And that's how we're going to wrap it up. Dr. Zach Stender, thank you so much. A lot of great information that you shared with us, and we'll look for you on the sidelines this coming fall, because we'll be there too.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right. We will continue on with our talk from OrthoUnited on Health Week. Dr. Michael Barnett will join us here coming up in just a few minutes, a newer doctor here at Ortho. And we appreciate you listening. Stay tuned. We have a lot more to get to on Health Week on 1480 WHBC.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Spring into freshness with Verndale Water Experts. For clean, soft water you can trust. Call 330-455-9466 or visit verndalewater.com. Pure water, pure peace of mind.
When it comes to your orthopedic health, the physicians at OrthoUnited realize you have a choice. That's exactly why our team of orthopedic specialists have dedicated over 35 years of orthopedic excellence to our communities. At OrthoUnited, we're here as your orthopedic partner for a lifetime of mobility, with locations in Canton, Fairlawn, Dover, New Philadelphia, and Alliance. Convenient, cutting-edge care. OrthoUnited offers same-day appointments and a walk-in express care clinic. Learn more at orthounitedohio.com.
WHBC AM 10, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
From the News Talk 1480 WHBC newsroom, Ohio GOP lawmakers plan to file the Prenatal Equal Protection Act today, which would outlaw almost every abortion and make performing one a felony. The measure would also erase the 2023 voter-approved constitutional amendment that protects abortion up to fetal viability. Sponsors say life begins at conception and argue voters were misled. The bill offers no rape or incest exceptions, but allows care to save a pregnant patient's life. Doctors who break the law could face long prison terms. Supporters of the amendment vow a legal fight, warning lawmakers are ignoring the will of the people. Investigators say more than 80 shots were fired during a shooting at a Cleveland block party early Monday morning that claimed the life of one person, injured 5 others. Cleveland's police chief is asking for the public's help in finding whomever is responsible for the shooting. Also, they are trying to determine how many people were involved. A new review in the journal Heart links regular cannabis use to big heart risks. Looking at 24 studies covering millions of adults, researchers found users face double the risk of dying from heart disease, plus a 29% jump in severe chest pain events and a 20% rise in stroke chance. In sports, the Cleveland Guardians beat the Dodgers last night 3-2. They'll play again tonight right here on WHBC. I'm Pam Cook.
Your severe weather station, News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast this afternoon. Variable clouds with a thunderstorm in parts of the area. Humid, high of 83. Tonight, overcast and humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm bringing flooding, downpours, and damaging wind gusts. Low of 66. Tomorrow, a blend of sun and clouds, windy and not as warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High of 74. Friday, partly sunny, pleasant and warmer. High of 84. Saturday, hot with sun and clouds, high of 91. With the AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg for News Talk 1480 WBC.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. Visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
And welcome back to Ortho United on this Wednesday morning. We've been talking about all different body parts, as a matter of fact. So now we're gonna head to foot and ankle now, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there listening have had issues with foot and ankle. But we're going to talk to Dr. Michael Barnett. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Glad to have
Doing
you.
good.
So fill folks in a little bit about your your background, where you came from, because you joined just a year ago or so.
Yeah, I joined July 1st. I was down in Dayton, Ohio, for the first 18 years of my practice. But I started out doing med school down at Wright State University, Dayton, Ohio, and ended up coming up here to Akron General and doing residency for 5 years, and met a lot of people through my residency that I seeing familiar faces all the time, basically, up here now, which is kind of cool. And I knew a lot of the guys in our practice already because of that. But I spent 18 years down in Dayton. I started initially as a professor of orthopedics down with Wright State University, which was a lot of fun, teaching residents, teaching medical students. I was in charge of the medical student education down there for a while, which was fun. And then I eventually moved over to Premier Orthopedics, which was Premier's the level 1 trauma center down in Dayton, and spent about 8 more years with them. And then me being from Cincinnati and marrying an Akron girl, you kind of can put 2 and 2 together. And the drawback to family is big. So we were kind of looking, midway through my practice, what would be a good place to make her happy, since I got my way for 18 years. And, her being a Norton girl, this made a lot of sense. And I was really good friends with Vince Wake, who's one of our spine surgeons at OrthoUnited. Really good friends with him during my residency. And so he's like, we have a spot here if you want it. And I'm like, well, that sounds pretty fun. So let's give that a shot. So we moved up here, and the rest is history, July 1st.
Man. Now, talk about your specialty. And we were asking you off the air, like how do you choose a specialty, and you chose foot and ankle.
Yeah. So it's not what people typically think when they think orthopedics, like, oh my gosh, you went to orthopedic residency with all the glitz and glamour of the sports medicine world and everything, and taking care of professional athletes, and being on the sidelines and all that, and when you're going through your orthopedic residency, you do multiple rotations. So you rotate in everything: spine and foot and ankle and hand, and just like AJ loved hand probably coming through, and you find what fits you the best, what you understand the most. It just clicks with you, and it makes sense, and you have really good mentors who you look up to. You find those guys that you really click with, and that's what happened to me. I was in my residency up at Akron General and had some great mentorship up there, and I'm like, you know what, this fits me perfect. I understand it. It makes sense. The biomechanics of the foot, what's happening down there. It just clicked with me. Spine didn't really click with me as much, and Vince and I go back and forth on that sometimes. But that's just the way it is. Sometimes things work for you, and sometimes they don't. But then I went to fellowship, and I was lucky enough to go to Maine for a year. So I spent a year
beautiful.
in Portland, Maine.
Yeah,
tough life. But it was a little tough. I mean, we had a newborn, our first baby girl. Up there with us that first year of fellowship, which was interesting. Didn't get to go out to eat a whole lot because of her, but it was a lot of fun. Spent the year up there working with a fellow named Dr. Gregory Pomeroy, who was one of the guys who came up with a flat foot reconstruction procedure.
Oh, wow.
Where they call it the All-American procedure because it's a very long name for all the different procedures that go into it. But they took a few different procedures and started combining them in a way that made it really a three-dimensional reconstruction for flat foot surgery, and was pretty innovative at the time back in the 90s. So I spent a lot of time doing flat foot reconstruction procedures. That was one of his specialties, but amongst many, many other things that we do.
So when you look at foot and ankle, like what kinds of things are you seeing day to day in your practice?
That's another cool thing about foot and ankle surgery is you see a lot of different things. I mean, I see all age groups from I start at 13 basically and go up to whatever. And so, I decided, years ago, maybe I'll let the pediatric orthopedic guys stick with the people under 13. But all age groups, and which is nice. So I get people coming in who are 13, and people can start having flat foot pain at that age. There's different things like accessory navicular bones on the inside of the foot, which are accessory bones that kids have that can start to become painful as they reach skeletal maturity. There's things like Seaver's disease, which is, I don't know if you ever heard of Osgood-Schlatter's in the knee, but there's they call it an apophysitis. It's a growth plate that gets inflamed because their bones are growing so fast, their muscles and tendons can't keep up. And so there's a lot of strain on their growth plates. And so, different things like that. And then as time goes on, there's some developmental things that happen, like people, they start out genetic, like you have people that have a propensity for flat feet or bunions and whatnot, and eventually they get worse over time, and so you can see them at any age, though, 20, 30, 40, and then you get all the way up to people that have arthritis. They have wear and tear arthritis, or you see rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, I've seen patients 20 years old, rheumatoid arthritis, that needed surgery really bad. Disease process there, it can affect you at any age, and then sports injuries. So my kids, two of my kids are going to, one just graduated, but two of them were going to Central Catholic, and I was on the sidelines last year for some of the football games. Me and Dr. Rose in our group, we kind of split time taking care of their team, which was a lot of fun. And but then I got the sports side of it too, and there's a lot of sports injuries that occur at the foot and ankle, like chronic ankle instability, lots of tendon tears, lots of different types of tendon tears. As you know, Achilles tendons are probably the number one everybody thinks of, but you can rupture tendons in the front of your ankle and the side of your ankle. I saw both of those today in the office, as a matter of fact. So it happens. There's a lot of different things. You wouldn't believe how much in that little space of the foot and ankle can be going on, in addition to fractures. Just irregular fractures you think about, but lots of wear and tear, lots of arthritis, ligament injuries, tendon injuries, all that
And
stuff.
your feet take the impact of your whole body, right?
Yeah.
Your body weight. So.
And then you got the main epidemic, around Ohio, which is plantar fasciitis.
Yes.
That everybody seems to
has.
suffer. Everybody has.
Everybody.
Which is, a terrible thing. But, it's.
Is there surgery for that?
There is, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you try like heck not to do it to people, of course. I mean, it starts out and you do simple things like Achilles tendon stretches and that, because it's thought that the number one thing that causes it is Achilles tendon tightness, and it's basically one system down there. You've got your Achilles tendon coming down from your knee, basically, down to your heel bone at your foot, and then from your heel bone out to your toes goes the plantar fascia. So when one gets tight, the other one has to take the brunt of it. And so it's thought that it starts with an Achilles tightness, and then the plantar fascia has to take the brunt of that. And yeah, that's how it starts. And then there's other factors that go into it, like weight and flat-footedness and high arches and other things if you have other disease processes going on, like being sedentary and then getting up and doing activity that can stimulate it. And the biggest population we see that is when somebody has a surgery, like a knee surgery on another side of the other side of the body, and the other side develops plantar fasciitis because they haven't been up moving around and stretching, and so they get the pain from plantar fasciitis on that side.
And what's the surgery like? What do you do in a plantar fasciitis surgery?
So it's the plantar fascia pain always occurs on the inside of the heel. It's just off that we call it the plantar heel pad, where you take most of the weight at the back. It's just off that, right in front of it. You make a little 3-centimeter incision, a little over an inch. You go down there, and I always explain it to people in the office. The tissue paper that's on the bed that you sit on in the doctor's office? Pretend that rectangle is your plantar fascia, right? Well, the job of the plantar fascia is to, when your toes bend, it's to act like a shock absorber, but it also elevates. So I pull the tissue paper off the bed and I elevate it, and it elevates to support the bones in your midfoot. And when you're getting plantar fasciitis, one half of that, where it's inserting into your heel bone, is becoming inflamed. And so what you do is you go in and you just take a little piece of that plantar fascia out and you release it on the inner half, and it takes all that strain away. And people notice it right away.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually, you pick the right person that has that particular problem and no other causes heel pain. Prove it, get an MRI if you have to, but if you prove that they got plantar fasciitis, people do really good with that surgery. You can actually see it when you go in there. Everybody I go in and operated on for that, the inner half is thickened, the outer half is thin. You can see exactly what needs to be released. Yeah, it's one of the coolest surgeries I think that I do.
Yeah, I never even knew that you could do that.
I've had so many people that they're like, "Oh my God, that was great. Let's do the other side." And and so it can be a real benefit for people, especially if you've had this for longer than 6 months. We're not going to operate on you if you've had it for less than 6 months. There's other things to do, like physical therapy and orthotics and night splints and all these kinds of things. And but if you're struggling really, really bad and
it won't go away.
It won't go away. You've got an option. There's no doubt.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, we'll take our final break, and we'll be back talking with Dr. Michael Barnett. We are at OrthoUnited, and this is Health Week on 1480 WHBC.
Tune in each Saturday morning at 8 a.m. for the Money Matters radio show. Find out how today's economy, debt levels, and policies affect your hard-earned money. You've made your money. Now it's time to watch it grow. Tune in to the hour-long Money Matters radio show every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on News Talk 1480 WHBC. To speak to Bob Vowdy or Dave Ryan about your money matters, call New Horizon Financial Group in Canton at 330-499-1915. 330-499-1915.
Hi, Paul White from the Medicine Center Pharmacies, and we want to congratulate WHBC on their 100th anniversary. Like WHBC, the Medicine Center Pharmacies are rooted in the greater Stark County area. We've been locally owned and operated since 1976 and pride ourselves on providing excellent pharmacy care and personalized service. Listen to our show every Friday morning on WHBC and stop by your nearest Medicine Center Pharmacy location.
Canton Regency has beautifully renovated studio, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments in their independent and assisted living communities. Right now, they're waiving the $2,000 community fee for those who are moving into independent living and will give you $500 towards your moving expenses if you use Grandpa's house. As a premier senior living destination, Canton Regency has a long history of providing exceptional independent assisted and memory care services. Call Canton Regency at 330-477-7664 or give them a visit at 4515 22nd Street Northwest in Canton.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already during these hard economic times, a hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147 or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may
As
vary.
a fan, you know all the important sports cliches. And when you save money by bundling your home and auto with Progressive, you can get out there and give it 110%, even though that's mathematically impossible. And remember, failure is not an option. Well, it's always an option, just not a good one. But you're not worried because you've got ice in your veins. You're on fire. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Well, that's between you and your doctor. So get out there and leave it all on the field. Leave what? Who cares? Just leave it and save with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates, other insurers, not available in all states or situations.
This is Health Week on 1480 WHBC. Now back to your host, Pam Cook.
Segment on this Wednesday morning. OrthoUnited is our location on Frank Avenue right now, and we're having the pleasure of talking with Dr. Michael Barnett, who is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, but is an expert in foot and ankle. That's your choice of expertise. And we were just talking off the air about, your feet, and if your feet aren't happy, you're not happy, are you? So I bet people come to you. I mean, what would you say for the regular person who doesn't need any kind of reconstruction or anything like that? I mean, what's the thing you see the most? Is it plantar fasciitis, do you think?
So the thing that I see the most is probably plantar fasciitis. The thing that I operate on the most is probably Achilles tendonitis.
Ooh.
So you ever seen those people that have a little big bump on the back of their heel? They call them pump bumps sometimes when you're younger, but yeah, there's Achilles tendonitis where you have this chronic overuse syndrome of the tendon, where it's a microscopic trauma, so it's not like your Achilles ruptures or anything, but you're getting these microscopic tears where the Achilles is inserting to the back of your heel, and what that eventually does is your body says, I can't heal this fast enough, and so it's trying to stabilize that area for you. And most of the time people don't even realize it's going on, but what's happening is it's laying down scar tissue and cartilage, and then eventually it lays down bone, and it grows and grows and grows, and eventually the tendon and the bone start thickening up, and then it starts pushing on the bone in front of it, so you've got this tendonitis that hurts because the insertion's bad, but then you've got this tendon pushing on the bone in front of it, which creates bursitis. So people get bursitis. Have you ever heard of Achilles bursitis? That's what it is. It's basically your body's creating a blister between the tendon and the bone, trying to protect the tendon from the bone, and it just creates a problem for people. So that's probably the thing I operate on the most. We can actually go in there and fix that for people, where we take the tendon, clean it all out, and actually give them a fresh insertion in there. And yeah, done thousands of them, and they work really well on people. It's just, if all else fails, physical therapy and heel lifts and stretching and strengthening exercises, and that you got that to fall back on.
What about your toes? Let's talk about your toes, because I mean, we hear athletes having toe injuries all the time. We hear like turf toe,
Yeah.
ended Jack Lambert's career.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy thing to think that the little toes are going to be so important.
Yeah, there's the Darius Garland thing. I tried to look up and I couldn't find much specifics on it, but it sounded like he had a turf toe injury, which is when you bend that big toe too far backwards, and you're usually applying weight to it, and your heel's kind of up in the air, and you're flexing really hard into that thing, and you bend it so far back that the ligament that's connecting to the toe bone actually tears off. And it's bad for several reasons. You think, okay, well, it's just another ligament injury, but it's bad because that area of the toe is highly complex. So your run-of-the-mill general orthopod doesn't really want to touch that because they don't see a whole lot, and it's a very complex area. That's why he ended up getting sent, I think, to Tennessee to get done, because they have some of these guys that treat the athletes around the country almost exclusively. So yeah, he got sent down there. But the turf toe injury, there's two little bones that you actually walk on that you don't realize on the bottom of your toe. Called the sesamoid bones, and those two are intimately associated with tendons that are down there. So you have bones and you have two tendons running through them, kind of like your kneecap. That bone's kind of inside a tendon, same kind of thing. And then you have a tendon running between them. So you've got three tendons, two bones. Then you've got a really strong ligament called the plantar plate, which is connecting the bottom of that joint together. And what usually happens is that plantar plate will tear off the toe part of it. It won't tear off the metatarsal side of it, but it'll tear off the toe side of it. And yeah, you going in there, it can be pretty messy. I remember taking care of a lot of the athletes down in Dayton. The running backs especially would get in compromising positions and they'd bend down, and you get in there and you've got to do a lot of dissection to get in there, and there's a lot of little nerves and everything, and so it's way more complex than you would give it credit for.
Yeah, and I think people will say, "Oh, he just hurt his toe. Why can't he play?"
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
No, there's a lot of stuff down there, and they're tough injuries because you think about all the weight that goes through that, and yeah, I mean, you got to push off every step you take, and so. With his recovery, he's going to have to balance healing everything together because they're going to have everything sutured back. They're going to put anchors in his bone. They're going to grab the ligament. They're going to tie it down to the bone, and they're going to want that ligament to heal to the bone. Well, you got to balance that with, well, we can't let him get too stiff, so you got to do some gentle range of motion stuff, and so it's a balance between getting him going and not injuring him, as he's recovering, and it's a delicate balance. So. He's got a road ahead.
Yeah. All right. Well, we all know. We'll keep everything you just said in mind during these sports seasons when we hear about the toe injuries and the feet injuries and all of that, because people discount it a lot, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine. All right. Well, we appreciate you coming by, and I'll say welcome, even though it's been a year, but still welcome, and we're glad to be able to talk to you today.
Still are in the area.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And that is our visit to OrthoUnited this morning for Health Week. And tomorrow, Canton Regency. We will be live from the Canton Regency starting at 10 a.m. Make sure you tune in to News Talk 1480 WHBC.